Welcome to another night of the Dream Realm. So thank you for coming out once again to Dungeons & Dragons Night at Open World. Appreciate y'all coming out. It's actually going to be an epic night. The most epic. Tons of content that was prepared well in advance here. Yes. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We got Boardwalk Games, BattleBoardGames.com, Gridscape, Planet Comics, and then definitely check out our NAMI events. It's been going on all week. We're trying to raise money to go towards mental health awareness. So we got basically events all through the last couple days and then through the weekend. Especially Saturday and Sunday should be really big. So please come make it out to our store. It should be a lot of fun. So if you haven't been following along in the Dream Realm, there's a bad guy, the Lord of Illusions. He's trying to just jack up with everyone's Kool-Aid, basically. He's trying to undo reality. That's never fun. No one likes that. So y'all been trying to foil him, and you're trying to find his temple because that some stuff is going down in his temple. You fought him already before, so I won't catch you up all the way, but you're trying to find the temple, and you went through some portals. There's a room that has some portals in it, and then each of you got sucked in. However, there was, right before you were about to go into the portals, there was a little blip, like you saw something for a quick second. That was someone taking control. So each of you are going to be coming up. I'll come to each of you in turn. But the first one we're going to come back to, we already teased this last week, but Prison Mike. So we start off, as I mentioned before, you are outside. You have the fresh smell of that apple pie smell. You start to walk forward a little bit, and things look familiar. You can't though shake this feeling that there is something kind of weird. You're not exactly sure what. And for reference, by the way, it's almost like you were waking up from a dream. Like literally, like you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like you're fully in this right now. You're still trying to recollect. All right, so you're walking forward, and you smell that smell, so you know that they're probably home. And in fact, you feel like you heard a little bit of a hustle and bustle inside. So you venture forth. You start to call out your parents' names. Don't seem to hear anything. So you go forward. You look a little more. You do see the dessert, the little pie sitting on the shelf there. But as you look into it, just like little movements there. So you look a little closer, and there's just more movements. And what the heck? So you start getting a little closer. Smells good. Smells delicious. Smells just like you remember. But again, you're trying to figure out what the movement is. As you're getting closer, you start to feel the hair on your neck go up. And you actually stop and you look around. And for some reason now you're starting to feel this dread feeling. Like, what's going on? So you look back and you get closer and you start looking. Finally, you think you can tell what it is, but your mind doesn't seem to process it for a little bit. So you start to get a little bit closer, but it looks like your parents, shrunken down in size, like really, teeny tiny, kind of like Honey I Shrunk the Kids in a bowl of cereal type thing. But they're in the pie itself, and looks like they're struggling. In fact, you feel like you could hear their voices. They don't seem like like the mosquito thing. It seems like just they're far away. Does that make sense? But you're starting to try to tune into their voices, and you feel like they're in pain. And you start to realize they're like in this pie, and it's like burning, smoldering hot. They're like freaking, you're getting hurt. They're like smoldering in this like pie. It's like hurting them. What? What is everything? Yeah. So what do you do?
It's a good pie. go and try to fish them out of the pie with my hand.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Roll for damage.
so you reach forward now. You still felt this unsettling feeling, but now you're still literally trying to process what's going on inside it. As you reach forward, your hand seems to almost stretch forward. Like you feel yourself, like you knew you were right there getting close to the pie. But as you feel your hand stretch forward, there's a strange optical effect, right? And it seems like you're just kind of stretching and just keep stretching. It seems like now you realize like you yourself, your body is stretching, and you realize you're being sucked into the pie. Just your whole thing. So in fact, it's a weird process. It feels like you're going through like one of those weird kaleidoscopes type deal. Doctor Strange style. Colors flashing. But then you end up. You look around, and now you're in something. It looks like this gigantic pie that you're in. That there's scalding hot. Like little berries and juice. Like it's right on top of you, and you're trying to push it away, but it's sticky. It's like. Sticks to you and it's hot and you don't even know what's going on. You think this doesn't make any sense, but you remember now that you were sucked into it. You're like, where are my parents? So you start to look around for them and you start to hear their calls. And what do you do now?
Do I have ability to spellcast right now?
You go to try to access. Well, tell me what you would try to do.
I would attempt to do dispel magic.
Okay.
To try to get rid of this illusion.
So you're thinking that something doesn't seem right here. You felt that weird feeling early on, and now things going on that obviously don't seem possible. So you're thinking that this definitely must be some kind of illusion. However, as you go to try to access. Your powers basically to try to cast a spell, you realize that there's just nothing. You're like, it's like there's this that line is severed. You're not able to basically use that to cast anything. You feel like this gulf between you and your powers basically right now.
Then I guess just walk towards the voices.
So you can't really walk. Instead, you're just kind of like slowly moving, and it's painful. Like I said, you're trying to go through there, and you're trying to still scrape some of it off the best you can. You're going through. You hear the voices, but now they seem like they're like a booming. Like as you hear the voices, but like it sounds like they're above, right? Like kind of coming from the heavens, right? But then the voices seems like they're starting to get louder for a second, but you hear these like thuds, or you feel them more, like, and you like look over, and there's this gigantic looming figure, and you realize there's your father, right there. And the voices are so loud, they're like almost deafening. But now you can make out that they're sounds like your mom was getting on your dad. That they're gonna be late for the ball that they're about to attend. But the dad is saying, oh, just 1 second. He just wants to get a quick bite. He doesn't want that dessert to go to waste. So she's kind of scolding him, but he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll be right there. And he starts to, you see this glint of a reflection as you see suddenly the sharp edge of a blade. Gigantic, huge blade that's coming right for you. All right, we can go to the next one. Bing, bang, boom.
I'll do a ninja roll.
In the berry sauce. So, Kalar, you rub your eyes for a second, look up, and again, you are also in something like seems like you recognize the place. You're trying to make it out. It's definitely a quaint type setting. You see like a thatched roof. You think it's might be like a cottage out in the area. There are some things though that don't seem as familiar. You're still trying to make them out. You're thinking, is this something from your past or just something where you've been before? As you, again, keep kind of like rubbing your sleep out of your eyes, you go to try to stand up, but kind of feel a little bit sluggish. Like you feel like your head was swimming for a second. Like, so you're like, okay, you go to sit back down. Crack your neck and you look at it. It seems like there's sun coming through the.
Soundboard.
Yeah, soundboard. See, like there's sunlight coming through a window. Since once again things look familiar but also not familiar, you go outside. And outside, you notice that there's a strange thing happening with sounds. You're noticing things seem to be, maybe delayed is the right word. Things don't seem to be syncing with what you're expecting. And you're not exactly sure why, because there's also like the strangest thing about you kind of almost can't sense where sounds are coming from. Or also maybe sense that it should be more forest sounds, because you can tell now you're out in more of a forest setting. Or what, but then as you're looking around, you do now like a briefly intercut between you hear violent clashing sounds, like all of a sudden it sounds like there's a battle, but then you look around and you don't see it, and now all of a sudden the sounds are gone, and then once again you hear those sounds once again, like a battle, like right behind you, like there's gonna be someone coming for you, so you look around, once again it's not there. You're just kind of looking around, like, not sure what to do. Once again, you hear the clashes, and this time, as you look around, you see a quick flash, and you actually see Drow. And this instantly sends a slight shiver down your spine. Only because you know your heritage, and you know that Drow, even though it's a part of where you come from, it also oftentimes can mean danger or a threat. They pursued your mother for the longest time until they got her. So even though the flash is gone almost as quickly as you saw it, the unsettling feeling that you had before now is only growing. You back away, thinking maybe you might as well go back into the cottage. You're still not sure what's going on. And all of a sudden you hear "There he is!" You look around, and there seem to be 6 or 7 Drow, all headed straight for you. They're all running, full, fast pace. What do you do?
I think I'll ready my bow and actually try to take out the first one.
Okay. So you do feel your bow at your side. That was the one while you're still getting your bearings. So you do ready your bow. As soon as you reach over to your quiver, trying to resolve yourself as you're doing so, knowing the danger that you're about to go up against, but also knowing that you also must stand your grounds in the same way that you knew that your parents once did, for the love for you. So your resolve is starting to grow to try to fight that uneasy feeling. However, as soon as you reach back, you notice that there's no arrows in your quiver. Not only that, while you're still processing this, all of a sudden you just see off to the corner of your eye, you see something. So you actually look, even though you see this thread coming down full bore on you, you see all of a sudden, and you actually do split your eye and turn it over, and it's actually you saw the image of your parents right there. But you only see them for a second, but it's like they see you, and they don't seem to be concerned for you. They're just watching you. During that hesitation, you suddenly panic, like thinking, like, you're not sure what to do now. So you look back at them, and they're now about 20 feet closer. So what do you do now? And you look back, they're suddenly not there. So what do you do now?
At that point, I'd actually pull out my short sword and just stand at the ready.
All right, sounds good.
Bring it.
All right, bring it. You bring out your short sword. And this time, once again, trying to resolve yourself. You're going to take them on. Even if they take you down, you're still going to fight them, until your last breath. As soon as they come overcome you, you realize again that the sounds were still once again messing with you. And as soon as you expect them to be right on top of you, it sounds make it seem like they're much further away, or sometimes they're chopping back and forth. However, again, you're thinking, you're trusting your eyes, because that's processing the information first. Your adrenaline is pounding. You're steeling yourself for the first blow, raising up to block. As soon as you expect it to, you just hear this giant keening sound. And you close your eyes for a quick second, expecting the block, and thinking about how you'll angle your attack after that. However, instead of that, there's nothing happens. You just hear this sound. You open your eyes again, they're all gone. Hear like little violent clashes of metal once again beside you and around you. You turn around, you once again see nothing.
So at that point, I'll take my short sword and throw it in the ground and say, if that's the best you've got, because this isn't working.
So you throw it down, thinking, you're processing some of this, and you've been through this before. Basically, you've processed some of this trauma before. So for you, this isn't you've processed a lot of this stuff many times before. So this wasn't necessarily a new thing for you. So you're kind of more like, not as phased with that, more like you think that you remember something. So you think that someone was messing with you.
Because I'm thinking that I've been through so many battles and everything that I know that if that was that many drowned, first off, they wouldn't have missed. Second thing is I would have been in combat, so when they blew past me and nothing happened to me, it's got to be somebody. So I throw my short sword down and say, you need to come at me, bro. Bring it.
As soon as you say this, you hear a crunch of twigs, it's like something behind you. You look behind you, once again, they're your parents. You're able to process that they shouldn't be there, but you still see them right there in front of you. They hold up their hands towards you. They say, son, you failed us. Said dark?
Daughter.
Oh, daughter. Oh.
You're a female?
Yes. Always been a female character.
My bad. See, I should have asked you. See? Processing things. I even asked that one time. I think you did tell me. Anyways, okay, yeah.
Master of illusion.
Yeah, so yeah, he was able to change some cool things. Yeah, so you...
No, I'm not. It's Kalar.
Kalar.
I can see being either way.
So... Wish I had that soundboard for that. Good segue. Yeah. The record scratch. They say daughter.
So
Failed.
I would look at my parents and say, I appreciate everything you have done for me. I appreciate all you've done for me. However, you're dead. There's no way you can possibly be here. And I've made peace with that.
As you say that, they suddenly look slightly like, praising you for a second, but then almost kind of scowl a little bit, looking like annoyed at your reaction to this. As they do so, they suddenly seem to dissipate. In their place, you recognize another figure. This one you also recognize is the Dark Lord Epstein.
I will charge him and choke him out of him.
There's something else. As you notice him, you instantly start to seethe with rage. You, in fact, don't even process that it's a completely different setting now. You're actually in a really dark, it looks, in fact, like a prison cell, like a dungeon area. And, in fact, as you're, rushing forward, you're processing this. It's enough to make you slightly slow down, and then, in fact, you slow down even more when you realize there are bars right in front of you, preventing you from getting to him. And he laughs as he sees you process this. And then he puts his hands on a figure that you see coming behind him. A small figure, looks like a small child. And he smiles at you condescendingly and turns around and leads the child away. And you look at him.
So I'll put my hands through the bar and tell him when I get out, I'll kill him. It would be my mission in life to hunt him down and kill him.
The feelings of this vengeance and fury just burn through you as you curse out his name as he walks away. But the feeling of helplessness is tormenting you now beyond anything you've ever felt.
That was good.
Thank you. So, and then we get to Roderick.
Well, the air recording.
You hear a familiar sound as well. In fact, it makes you feel very good because this is the sound of laughter and music and sounds like party basically. In fact, it sounds exactly like parties you remember growing up to around court, where you would hang out with the royal family and you would get to entertain. And you hear this music, so you get up, and it looks like there was like a little makeshift bed. It looks like, you as you stand up, you kind of start processing, and you think that maybe you had a little bit too much drink, and someone kind of prepared a little place for you to take a nap, so that way you could, come back and enjoy the revelries whenever you woke up. So you wake up and you kind of, limber yourself out a little bit more. You check to see if you still have a wineskin on you. You look down the grounds and it's already empty. So you think, I must remedy that. And you start heading towards the noises of the party, basically. You go in and you see it basically is kind of right around the corner from it, so to speak. So you walk in and there's this, relatively grand ballroom. Again, it looks just like you remember. You just remember from the time you're back in court. Looks like there's a big fanfare and celebration going on. It seems like it might be one of the harvest festivals, because even though people are dressed in the nice clothes which typically they'd wear for festivals, there's a lot of more common folk out than you would expect to see. For instance, some of the other parties, they would be a little bit more held to certain guests only, just entertaining certain people, and those were a little bit more stuffy, he always felt. You kind of liked the ones where more people would get in the mix, and you'd get to... Yeah, like, it would be different people, because it might be, sometimes it would be a surprise, because, for instance, there was the Lord of the Guard right there, normally one of the sternest fellows in there, and yet he's dancing, like the craziest of them all. He's doing like almost like a little Russian jig. Say that again?
Now I know this isn't real.
But yeah, it seems like it's, like I said, could be maybe one of the harvest festivals whenever they would, like you remember, entertain more, more different types of guests and everything. So it'd be really nice. So an even bigger smile, or grin gets on your face as you look around at everyone. Once again, you remember your mission, that you need to go and get more drink. You need to enjoy the revels yourself.
To roll an investigation.
Well, tell me where you would go to get a drink. You have a few options in front of you, because you could either go to, the main bar where they're serving a lot of the guests, but you see there's a little bit of a line there. You also know that there's a different bar that's in a different section that you can go to where you have friends there. But it's a little bit further away. You also know that you can go straight to the cellar where you have another buddy that works in the kitchen, that you might be able to get something there really quick, and maybe some of the good stuff for a little, for free.
So I was actually remembering one of my favorite methods for getting a drink. This would be I go to the bar and buy the cheapest bottle I can buy, and then from there I go and look for the wealthiest man in the room, essentially, who has a bottle of similar size. And I'm going to just talk it up with him for a moment and switch the bottles when he's not looking.
Nice. All right. So you go to carry out your plan. We're going to say that you actually did go down to the cellar. And you go down the cellar and you pick out one of the cheap ones there. And then you come back up and you're going to get because you got your eyes on the good stuff. So you see someone that looks like very wealthy. Not only that, he looks very wealthy. He seems like he'd be an easier mark because he seems to have enjoyed more revelries than others, perhaps, because he already seems to be sloshing around. Yeah, exactly. But he does have a brand new bottle. You can tell it's new because you see the little glistening of moisture on the outside, like condensating. So you go to sit down with him, and you start entertaining him. As it comes very easy to you. You've been a court jester for many a year, so you're able to use that to bring it up to him. In that that people always like talking about that. So you've noticed that you're able to supplicate people very easily. Just by talking about your background. As you do so, you're skillfully getting ready, and in fact, you've already made the swap. However, as soon as you're getting up, you're about to make your exunt, your graceful exunt, as you would call it. You suddenly hear a little commotion from across the room, and there's now like shouts and screams, and you can tell that almost seem like not cries of alarm, like enemies. More seems like outrage, or that kind of thing. There seems to be like this, and you can sense this too, because in your travails, as you have also been good at not only in getting the alcohol whenever you'd like to, but sometimes whenever you've been able to perchance get the eye of attractive barkeep or something like that. You then find out maybe she has a boyfriend that wants to then get into a tussle with you. So you feel like you've heard that before. So hearing this, you then think, oh man, and you might want to get out of here before the drama starts getting you. So you start getting ready to move out, right? However, now there's more of a hustle. There's people come in here, and you start hearing a voice, and it's in fact the Lord of the Guards himself. He's saying, lock all the exits, block it. We need to find out what caused this. And right behind him, you see the king himself, and he seems to be, very red in the face. Closely behind him, and it looks like he was both kind of torn between trying to console his wife, the queen, and also, deal with the Lord of the Guards, like trying to talk to him. The queen herself, she's bringing someone else in tow, and you recognize now it's a princess. She seems somewhat disheveled, but you're not really stopping to try to figure out more of what's going on. You're trying to slip off into one of your other little
Grabbing
alcoves.
people's hats to find one that fits, to try and hide my face and sneak out.
Mm-hmm.
To be caught up in whatever this is.
As you say this, you're trying to, like you said, you're trying to disguise yourself, hide. You hear more of the commotion. From what you're gathering as you're trying to kind of make your way in the shadows, it seems like they're saying that someone dishonored the princess. That's what they are calling it. And you're smiling wryly because you're thinking to yourself, dishonor, more like, maybe brought her some joy, which the prince couldn't do. Something.
Someone's dying tonight.
There you go. But yeah, you do then hear the wails of the mom as she's, crying out, So you're trying to make your way out, and you're trying to think of how you're going to get out of here, because it seems like they're pretty serious about trying to seal off the exits. And in fact, you were trying to figure out how to plan your escape. And you do think you've got it. There's a little stairwell that's kind of a little area. Basically, it's the part that goes to a little kind of courtyard area, and then you can use the courtyard area to pretty much go to a different part of the castle, and then using that, you can leave. So that's how you think you're going to be able to get out. As soon as, however, you open the door, you do, right before you, as you're opening, you get this weird cold feeling. As you do so, you step over, and there's nothing underneath you. You don't know why, but now all of a sudden you're falling. You're falling.
So So now I'm realizing, like, I'm getting the sense this isn't real, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're getting some weird senses as well. Yeah, but there's blackness and you're falling.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got right now.
Are we pausing there?
Yeah, for now. Yeah. I'm gonna come back and flip back and forth. All right. So the next up is Skyla, the dwarf. So you come to, not come to, like as your vision starts, you're running. In fact, you remember you're running through the house. You can't let them find you. You had one of your orphan friends, and you're running through the house, and you cannot believe what you just saw. Your heartbeat is beating fast. You don't want him to find you. You knew that you and your friends saw something that you weren't supposed to see, but your mind's honestly not even really able to process what it just saw. Right now, it's just trying to get away. So you're running. As you're running, things seem a little strange to you, mainly in that, again, kind of like the sounds thing. It seems like sounds are a little strange. They're really echoey. Seems like you're running down this hallway, but like your footsteps seem to like thunder. And every time you call out for your friends, it's like really warped. Like it just doesn't come out like at all like he sounds. Kind of like an underwater type effect whenever you talk, but whenever you hear other sounds, are like really echoey. So yeah, the sounds are definitely messing around. You keep going though, and as you keep going, you do stumble, and you remember you skinned your knee, and something seems strange about you. You just get this weird feeling of like deja vu, but then you suddenly snap out of that, and you think like, well, there's no reason to think this right now. I've got to keep running. I got to get away. So you get up, and you're running through different hallways now. It looks like you're trying to kind of orient yourself for where you are in the house. As you come up to a landing, however, you see right across from you on the other side of the landing, kind of like there's like this circular landing, like you're on the second floor type thing. What do they call it? Like a mezzanine, right? You're just on the opposite side, and you see the same people who are already chasing you. The guy who actually looks like he killed that person, right in front of you in cold blood. So seeing him right there in front of you, you freak out. What do you do?
Is there something connecting between us?
No, it's like he's staring at you across an open way. Like there's like a spiral stairway going down that side, and then going up the other side. So he could get to you pretty easily, but right now like there is like this distance across from you. Like there's the bottom floor of the house down below you, and y'all are on the top floor facing from opposite sides of this landing.
Is there a window?
It looks dark, so it's really hard to tell. Like there's definitely some moonlight coming in, or some low light, or dusk, that kind of effects. But yeah, not much light. So even though there are some windows, none that look like they're like right next to you.
I run down the stairs.
As soon as you turn to run, then a voice then suddenly makes you stop. And the only reason he makes you stop is because you feel like it was your mother's voice. It doesn't make any sense. So you turn around to look and see, and all of a sudden you just see a hand reaching for you. But this hand, it's like skeletal, ghostly, really big hands, that kind of thing. As you look over, it's now just hovering over your entire face. And you close your eyes, and it's gone. The man is gone too. Again, you remember you thought you heard your mother's voice. And you're like, you had been cowering on the grounds, right? You like sit up, not sure what's going on. There's suddenly now just like this little rumble, just a low level, like kind of like the house settling, but it seemed impromptu. You just hear a creaking sound that gets louder and louder. The creaking now, it's like there's this shuddering presence, and the house itself now seems like it's being torn apart in half. And as it is, there's this insanely huge creature, just crazy scary looking, just like, what the heck? Looks like something from Stranger Things, basically, is what I'm thinking in my head. And looks like it's just gonna be coming right at you. Something in you, though, tells you at that moment you're gonna control yourself. So you actually stand up and you start to get mad because you're thinking, none of this makes sense. But you've been running your whole life, basically. You know, you ran as an orphan. You ran, whenever there were killers. You ran whenever you're a soldier trying to, help defend your comrades in battle. So you're going to stand here and you start to get mad. But while you're trying to resolve yourself, trying to reach for a weapon, it's gonna be a makeshift weapon. You're not in your full barbarian. You're still as a kid, right? But and then in fact, you start to process that. You're like, well, wait a second, and you think you have memories from past this age. So now you're starting to process this, and the creature is still slavering. Something's not adding up now to you. You realize you're I'm in the body of someone a lot younger, my younger self, but I have memories from being a lot older. As you start feeling this way, the anger starts fading from you again, and actually now fear starts taking back over again, the creature right in front of you. So those thoughts that you were trying to form together start backing out, and your anger is now starting to flee as well. That's where we'll stop with you for now. And then we get to Kektik.
Yes.
So Kektik, what happened with you was definitely a little bit different as well. You went through the portal, and as you went through, you felt something tug at you, but then also resistance. There's something, slowly trying to pull you back, and then it felt like you're going through more and more, and then finally all of a sudden you felt probably you've processed in your head probably Sid coming through. Then there's the resistance is gone for a second, you go through a lot further, and it's just this weird looking purple black maelstrom, energies coalescing around you as you're seeing this. But then you felt Sid go through, but then the resistance, now there's something tugging at you, and you're going a little bit more and more, but then all of a sudden just the rope is just no resistance, and you go tumbling in. You're tumbling through what seems like an eternity. However, whenever you come to, there's just nothing but darkness. Absolute darkness. This doesn't rattle you. You're an Aesmer. You? Yeah. So you're not rattled, even though you sense that there's most likely, you. By the way, your memory is a little bit more intact than the others. Basically, the others don't remember what happened right, their immediate thing right before. It's almost like they're in their own little dream thing. You do kind of remember right before y'all were hurt, going through the maelstrom. You remember, you process that, so you remember it's still there. You do feel this kind of otherworldly presence or something, but you felt that since you've been in this place, so you think it's probably just Mara. But you do, like I said, there's total, complete darkness and blackness around you. So you think that it's most likely something magical that he's doing. So what do? I'm guessing. First thing.
Do I have my gear with me? Anything with me?
Well, you try to. Yeah, you still have the rope tied around you to Sid.
I don't have any gear.
No, you do have the. Yeah, you have the gear with you, and you have the rope tied. So you look and you check, and yeah, you do have the stuff with you. But it's complete blackness, so you're just going by feel right now. And you do hear your slight groan from behind you, from what you can only process is probably Sid.
I can't. You said I can't. We can't cast.
Well, you don't know what they've gone through, so.
So I would probably try to cast. Or no, I have divine sense that I can use.
Some glow sticks.
That's what I was gonna say. I was thinking your first reaction is to try to summon light,
I have daylight.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Daylight. You try to get this, but same feeling basically, that he got is just this thing cutting you off. But yours, it doesn't feel like this gulf, right? It's not like this like unobtainable that. It actually feels like you're close to being able to do it. As you're basically doing, you feel like this builds up. Like it's almost like ramping up, but it can't quite get like high enough RPM or something like that. Like you're trying to pierce through a barrier and almost, but then it just bounces back. So that's the sensation you're getting right now. As you're kind of trying to process this.
Then I would use my divine sense.
Okay, so then you
And
use
just,
sense.
which allows me I can detect any celestial, fiend, or undead that's around me and know the type as well, as long as it's not total cover.
So once again, you go to try to access your divine sense, and pretty much all of your powers come from your connection with your deity, with from your your oath and your resolve, your faith. Basically, is a huge part of where you get your powers and all your abilities. Even though it's never before failed you, it's always been there. Right now, as you try to access those, it feels like you almost kind of have it, like you're that same familiar thing you've done so many times. This time, not quite able to process it. Now you hear some a voice behind you. You recognize it as Sid's. Sid is like, "Hey, Cactic, can you hear me?"
What's going on, dude? Cactic, is that you? Oh, Sid, is that you?
I was like,
He's confused.
"Yes."
Yeah, is that him?
And I can't be sure that you are you, but I know that I am me. And he chuckles.
Sid.
Just know though, this is most likely pineapple.
That's our
It's not
sign.
Sid. He did it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Just recognize it.
What is our,
That only
what
works
is our
if-
sign?
Pineapple.
Okay.
You aren't able to see, but you get this
Bingo.
feeling that he is moving his hands in this thing, and you get another feeling of like a sigh and then a smirk as he says pineapple. But you do hear his voice once again. He says, "Yes, this is most likely going to be another one of Lord Mars' illusions. The good news is your good thinking had us connected together, so I think that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for him. That's probably why we don't have anything right now. Are you able to feel anything though? Have you tried any of accessing your abilities yet?
I cannot use anything here.
What do you feel whenever you try?
A very powerful wall that is hindering my connection.
I wonder if we might be able to maybe. He looks like he's pondering for a second. He's like, the thing is, I'm kind of glad I'm with you because this isn't your first journey outside your plane, is it?
I've been to many worlds.
I think that is probably making it a little bit easier for you right now to be able to access your abilities. Most of the time, right now we're most likely stuck in one of his illusions. Most of the time in this circumstance, he could completely cut you off. But perhaps because of your travels, maybe you'd be able to pierce through that veil. What?
I traveled to different planes as a
You
spell
don't
for a living.
remember the stuff. He captured you more fully. You just jumped in. You like, yeah, whoop. You jumped
Nothing can kill me.
into the
I'm
Mario
invincible.
into the
I'm
Mario
the
2.
Lizard King.
Got stuck in a pie.
So Sid looks annoyed for a second, like he senses another presence trying to bother him. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, that maybe we can try to. See, I am able to still use some of my things. I can. The good news is about my abilities that all of my stuff is processed through chi, which basically I bring with me. It's not something I get from a deity. It's something that's because I channel the energies within myself. So, what I'm thinking is I might be able to channel some of my key points, and I might be able to use them to create a resonance for you. This resonance might be able to give you enough strength to be able to pierce through the veil, so to speak, and use your abilities.
Can you use the spell magic?
Yeah, I think we should give that a shot. So here, you feel this tug. So come closer.
Should have bought me lunch first. Good lord.
So, you go forth and you feel Sid reaching out for you. He's like, just want to make it easy to be able to channel the energy into you. So you sit down next to him because you feel him kneeling down. He looks like he's going to go into like a little meditation thing. But then slowly but surely you do feel this thing, and it feels like kind of like a warmth at first, but then it's almost more like a vibrance, like a rejuvenation type feeling, almost like someone cast a healing spell on you. But then that sort of builds up even more to where now it starts feeling like you're getting like embolstered, like you're being strengthened. So now you go once again to try to cast daylight, and now there is light. In fact, there's this strange feeling as you get it, because you sense something that, even though you've traveled a lot in the multiverse, you also, one thing you've kind of tried to fight against as asymers, you fight against a lot of things. You know, you fight against chaos, you fight against evil, but you also fight against the void, because your deities know of basically times before, in different ages and before men and that kind of thing, whenever there was maybe less going on, less life, but there was still creation versus the void, basically. So they kind of also preach against that. And in that moment of all of a sudden suddenly casting daylight, you realize that it in and of itself is kind of like an act of creation. Using this, you suddenly trip onto this idea. As it's festering in your head, you start actually creating this landscape around you. As you do so, you're able to see things, and it looks like your home realm. In fact, you're seeing this, and it's looking so much like it, and it seems strange because even though you had that strange thought about how you're kind of creating something, it also seems to kind of create itself. And you're also looking at it because you're like, well, wait a second. This does look, every detail looks right, but it doesn't feel like my home plane. And Sid comes up behind you, because you're standing at this point as you try to cast daylight, right? Sid comes up behind you and he's like, don't worry. It's obviously still an illusion, but the point is, because of what you were able to do, I think you tapped into something. I think you're able to master the illusions here for a moment. In fact, that's where I'll pause with you, because I think that's a good epiphany for your character. And we come back to Roderick. So you were falling, right, through darkness. All of a sudden, you pop back up. And once again, you look like you're in a little bedroll, little makeshift bedroll, and you hear sounds of music and laughter. You know that sounds. You've heard those many times, etc., etc. I think I'm going for it. So you think that there's a party nearby. You go forward. Basically, everything plays out similarly. There are a couple times, however, that you're noticing a little bit more this time. Like, for instance, whenever you were first looking out for your mark, whenever you're trying to find someone who could get some good top shelf liquor from, as you're looking out, and you're normally very good at observing without looking like you're observing. You're one of those kind of people that you could scan the room really well. Well, while you're doing so, you got this strange feeling where there's like one corner of the room. Basically, whenever you try to focus on anything there, it looks like your vision was trying to slide past. And you didn't notice it. You didn't really dwell on it much. Because to be honest, you're thinking once again as you rubbed your head that It could be some after effects of maybe some drinking you had done earlier. So you don't think much of it, but you get that strange feeling. And then a little bit later, as the commotion starts, as you're kind of looking around, trying to like figure out like a good exit, once again, that same corner of the room, it starts to just, as you focus on it, just doesn't feel right. It feels like it's out of place for this. Enough so that as you're trying to make your way, trying to kind of shuffle into the crowd, so to speak, this time instead, you're not quite able to make it through the crowd enough because you're still kind of pausing, kind of trying to figure out what that effect was. So much so that now you're being jostled, you've been
Whenever
grabbed.
I can't look at that corner. Am I able to differ? Like this is definitely not from a drink. This is something else.
You're getting a more unsettling feeling the more you
It's like
ponder
something
on
else
it.
that's affecting me, kind of thing.
Yeah, like basically the more you think about it, the more you think that it couldn't be just from drinking. But right now you're being jostled up to the center of the room because you see now, and the weird thing is, you're still trying to process that part, right? Mm-hmm. So even though you're being jostled to the front, your thoughts were kind of somewhere else. And now the sounds of the room are only just now kind of rubber bands snapping back to you. And you realize that you're being accused. Something else seems strange because then, they're asking you, they're literally saying, like, how do you plead? What do you have to say for yourself? And you like, your head snaps to the side for a second because you realize, and you get that same feeling of deja vu. And you realize that, this is one of your memories. But then you go back to look at the corner, right? Because you're wondering, where's that coming to this, right? And as you look there, there's now this extremely unsettling sound. It sounds at first almost like something yawning, but it builds up with this crescendo of just this weird cacophony of strange sounds and noises. But overall, still sounds like a yawn, sound like as the more you're trying to look at that corner, it seems like everything is just kind of falling away. Everything is going to, just kind of splintering away. Not able to understand what's going on.
As soon as I realized that this was like an older memory, but like it's different kind of thing, I would start singing my counter charm.
Ooh, singing a
To
counter
see if
charm.
that would get me out of there, kind of thing.
You start humming your counter charm. In fact, I'm going to say that you close your eyes as you do so. You start humming your counter charm. You do briefly feel some uplifting effects, like as soon as you start to hum that unsettling feeling which had completely taken you over, now seems like that it wasn't quite as bad. However, before you can really keep humming it that much, it seems like the ground fell out under your feet. And now you feel that same sense of falling once again. Falling in blackness. Then we can jump back to Prison Mike, about to be eaten. Plus he's about to fall asleep in his chair, right? He's like, man, when are you gonna come back to me? How you doing, Prison Mike? Doing good?
Dude, I'm ready to just dodge this blade.
Dodge his blade? Yeah. So you see the knife coming down. What do?
Just simply do a barrel roll out of the way of it.
Do a barrel roll.
You're in like apple pie filling, like.
Doesn't matter.
Wait. Go ahead.
Do I have my staff on me?
No, you don't. Well, as you go to think about this, you're thinking, you're trying to process this. Nothing about this makes much sense, obviously. And you yourself think that I easily could be an illusion. However, you've also had some pretty crazy dreams as well, because knowing that you deal with necromancy, as you start to flirt with that, the more you flirt with that, you've noticed that it sometimes makes you have some messed up dreams. So you think that this could potentially be a dream. You don't remember the other stuff before this, okay? So you, as you're trying to process that, you're like, yeah, I don't think I have like my staff on me. So what do? You see the knife coming down. This is you. I'll say you. This is you right here. So I'm gonna keep having the knife come down.
Simply walk the other direction as quickly.
Well,
as
so you're
I can.
still in the little thing. We're gonna do your barrel roll thing. Go ahead and do a acrobatics check. For acrobatics or athletics, I don't ever know which one to do. Do acrobatics because you said do a barrel roll out there. So we're gonna see how good. We're gonna see how good your barrel roll is.
Acrobatics and performance for staff.
13.
All right. You go. You try to kick off with what you think must be some pretty nice grace. And you try to kick off that way. You can try to spring yourself backwards into what you believe will be a barrel roll after that, so we can try to build up momentum. This is on your head, right? However, as soon as you go to kick off, the sludge just ain't having it, and you don't really move that much. You just kind of look like you're like kind of. It's a hot sloshy mess. Plus, it's kind of painful, you know. So yeah, you don't really. You still see the knife coming down.
Just keep making my way away from it, I guess.
All right, keep scoring. Go ahead and this time make because you don't say a barrel roll. This time do an athletics check.
He's swimming.
Yeah. This time you're just straight up, just trying to like
21.
21. Okay. So this time you just through brute strength and kind of like doggy paddle, you are able to clear out enough so that you can tell that not only does the knife miss you, but as it goes down to cut, you then see it coming back up, and you keep going, and it cuts out like a little slice, but it misses you.
How high is the knife?
How high? Like when it comes down for the second cut, it's already cutting down. Like it's right here right now.
Yeah, like when it's in the pie, how high is it?
I don't understand your question.
Like, how high is the knife compared to me?
Compared to you, so like if this is you, it's taller than our building. Like it's like a good bit.
Alright, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, got it.
I was just going to try to grab onto the top of the blade and get out of the pie that way.
Now, interesting to say, it is like one of those little butter, not a butter knife, but like a little serving knife. It does have some serrated edges. That's what first cut the glint. So you see the serrated edges, thinking
You can pronounce tooth.
something's you're thinking that as you see it cut out a slice. And hear some more thunderous booming, the voices, and they're you're able to hear them, but because they're so loud, it's kind of tough to track them. But they're talking about. He's like, oh, don't worry, it's better to be you want to be fashionably late to these kinds of things. And the mom was saying, okay, we'll hurry. The father's saying, well, don't you want a slice of your own pie? You outdid yourself this time. As he's eating a bite, she's like, okay, but just a thin sliver. So you're still kind of like hearing all that's going on, and you see the knife coming down once again.
Well, I just simply go into the spot that's already cut out where all this goop is gone.
All right. So you tumble over, so that you are able to get, that's your plan. So you tumble out over onto the empty space, and you see the knife come down and cuts like a little slit, and you hear commotion going on. It sounds like they're talking to each other. So I'm guessing your plan was to try to get his attention, or get someone's attention, or what were you trying to do? Or you just
that
trying to
doesn't have
not
a
get
slice
cut
in it
up?
anymore, so there's
You're just trying not to get eaten.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah,
All right.
there's no slice there, so I should be able to move much quicker.
Yeah, you're able to scurry out of the way. You still hear the scraping sound that the knife makes against the plate isn't fun. It sends this whole vibration of your body. Yeah.
Constitution.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all you have right there. Goes through, and then you hear some more commotions. So now they're both, you hear them munching away at their pie, and you're sitting here. So what do you do?
Just sit there and wait. I mean, I know this is obviously not real. I'm inside of a pie. So at some point, this is going to have to end. I'm going to have to wake up, or the illusion's going to have to end. So I'm just going to sit here and just see what happens.
So you have that thought basically of just like this
I've
can't
had
be
these
real.
dreams hundreds of times.
Yeah,
Eventually
exactly.
this ends. I'm just gonna sit here.
So you have that thought, and as you have that thought, you like suddenly see this thing like flapping past you, and it's like, strangely enough, it looks like one of your spell books, but like it's flapping as if it's like a bird. You see it go past, and you're like, mm-hmm. And you see another one, and as you look around, yeah, the setting is now completely different. So now you're in, looks like your home laboratory type deal.
Next up, laboratory. My laboratory. Alright, sorry, I'm good.
And so you're in your laboratory, and two of your minions come out, and they're. Can you do minion speak? Can anyone do minion speak? What do they sound like?
I can
You're
do
breaking
Groot,
my
but
reference.
I can't do the minions.
Do Groot then.
Well, no, I can't do Groot because you told me to do it.
Oh my gosh, this is falling apart. But yeah, so see two of your minions, they're scrambling around. They sure enough, they have their, the one-eyed goggles and that kind of thing, the sprouty hair,
Perfect.
and they're running around, and you call out in your thick Eastern European accents. I told you now, you must bring me my supply so I can rule the world. There you go, that's my best.
He wins.
Hey, I was gonna say,
I
yeah,
said
I feel
Nord
like-
gun, not fart gun.
yeah. So he says, and then you point off to the, telling them to go back to the store and everything, and then you look around and put your feet up on the coffee table, thinking about what evil plan you're gonna get into today. Maybe you'll shrink the moon. Until you start thinking, it's like, wait a second, huh? You're like, what is going on? You're looking around, and you like everything looks kind of weird. It looks too colorful. The proportions look weird. You look at your legs, and you're like, there's no way that physically I should be able to hold up my body with these tiny little legs. Trying to process this. You're like, this, and suddenly you're starting to think, okay, I think this is something else too. But even though you're pretty sure this is his dream, it pretty much continues to play out as if you're like in. Oh man, that's probably speaking of copyright infractions. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and give a shout out to whatever studio is that? Is that Pixar?
Yes. Let's do Pixar. Both of them. Just to be safe.
Impressions
Pixar,
are
Disney,
copyrighted.
DreamWorks, something.
It's streaming.
We have permission. I talked to Walt. Me and him go way back. But yeah, you pretty much, that's your thing now. You're stuck in. Is you're in the.
I'm really okay with being there. I'm fine with being there, honestly.
Fine with being there. You're just gonna stay
Just gonna
there.
hang out till
Prison,
it passes.
Prison Mike ain't coming back, huh? He's just gonna stay in the illusions. All right.
That's where he lives now.
I'm okay
All
with
right. Then we come back to Skyla. Skyla, you are back here. You're looking up at this creature just standing over you. Tell me what you're thinking, what you're feeling.
I look around me and see since the house broke in half or whatever, there's a pipe sticking out the wall. So I grab the pipe, and I shove it up or
Nice. All right. Go ahead and roll for an attack.
Do I have
It would be improvised weapon you are not proficient with, so just add your strength.
okay, 15.
15. That's what you needed. Actually, you needed 14 in my head, but you chuck it out. Your aim is true to where the pipe goes, like center mass. It's where you think, yeah, we'll get that right there. Right, that's the spot I want to hit it at. As soon as it, would connect with it, the whole thing just kind of dissipates. And and it just kind of falls apart and seems like it's just not there anymore. You're looking around like thinking that something's obviously not right with this place, but something didn't seem right, like from the second you first remembered. Again, because you're in a more youthful, like you're yourself more as like basically like a kid, but again, you like remember having these memories of yourself like much older, and now this thing, so clearly think something's happening. As you do so, you suddenly also yourself feel like the sensation of falling, like blackness and falling. But it ends relatively abruptly. Actually, you fall like onto a hard surface, just like oh. You grunt out, and you grunt out, but you notice that as you grunt, you like it didn't feel like a kid body falling. It felt like more like whenever you're like a little bit older, and in fact, it seemed like it hurt a little bit extra, like you were a little heavier. You realize like, oh, okay, now you have your armor on, so you're all weighted down by it. So you're like, ugh, like it's not fun to fall, that fast, like wearing armor like that. So you're kind of like, oh, you're standing up trying to do that. Now you're looking around, and you're seeing the barracks where you used to train. If I could find your thing, there it is.
Fencing school.
Say that again.
Fencing school.
Fencing school?
She used to rape here.
Well, I was talking about before that, when she was actually in the army with her best friend.
Okay.
So you're in the barracks, and you're once again like, okay, well, this is, I feel like I was like the older self, but still, I have memories after this point. So you're thinking that, but you're now trying to fit this, It's like now it's clear that something's trying to make you, like, trying to maybe hurt you with some of your memories or whatever. You yourself have kind of like tormented yourself with some of these memories as well. So again, you're kind of used to dredging some of these up. So, but you're trying to place this memory, and you realize this is close to around the time where you lost your best friend. So, tell me what you thought about your best friend and what you remembered about them. Put you on the spot. See how you like it.
Well, they were more like a friend than a best friend. It was like having my right arm, and like they were always there. We always did everything together. We sacrificed for each other. Like if when we were hungry and I found food, I would give food to. Did I write he or her? I'm gonna say he.
I think you did. She died, so it is a girl.
So I gave food to her or whatever, and
It's good to get clarification before.
right. And then she would be like, "Oh, have you eaten? Oh yeah, I've already eaten." Even though I hadn't, because we would just give food to each other. And lie to protect, the other person. They don't feel bad or whatever. So do I know she's gone already?
You're thinking this is right around the time whenever she died, actually. You're not sure, but you're just thinking that in terms of your memories, there's something about the weight of this moment, and yeah, it's like you're realizing it's like the memory of her death, basically. Like, in fact, you're seeing yourself now holding her in your arms as she's having her last moments. And you're seeing that's the actual memory that you're being shown. So you're seeing this. You're seeing someone that you felt was like a part of you, like you said. And felt like part of yourself was ripped away whenever they were taken away from you. And you're seeing this moments right here in front of you. So, how does it make you feel?
Like able to move or breathe or do anything. I can't think straight or clearly currently about my situation or anything because in the moment I'm just like overtaken by the memory.
Exactly. The grief is just washing over you, and you just feel yourself. In fact, you like crumple down to the ground on your knees. The weight of the armor now feels even more oppressive than it did before. And you just feel yourself sobbing and just kind of following away into that grief, that misery as it overtakes you. And then we come over to Kalar. So Kalar, last we left, you were in the prison cell. It was really dark, but you're trying to put the pieces together because you're not understanding why you're in the prison cell.
So it was in such a bad place because that brought back so much bad memories and bad juju. I went into a trance and summoned one of my masters that taught me the sun gods when I left my family. And it was Master Adoy. And he told me, Scrooge you were, but now you're not.
Say it again?
He said, Scrooge you were, but now you're not.
Okay.
It says down.
That's Yoda.
Yes. And he told me that to remember to meditate like he taught me when I trained with him after my parents were killed. And told me to search my inner mind and that I knew that I could kill him. So there's no way he could torment me. And it was an illusion.
So you go into a trance and you feel the cold dampness of the cell, but you try to block that out. So you close your eyes and do everything you're just saying. As you're doing so, and you feel like you're getting that clarity, like this doesn't make sense. You've already defeated him before. Something's going on, so you're getting that clarity. However, you hear sounds and looks like steps, like someone coming back into the room. At first, you try to resist it. You try to once again block it out and keep, steadfast in your trance to try to defeat the illusion. However, then you hear the, cries out of the child, and it sounds like you can hear them, that they're being hurt, and you shut your eyes furiously as you remember the pain that he caused. But once again, remembering your master's words, even though you hear those sounds, the only thing it basically makes you think of is how much more you're going to hurt the person that's trying to keep you from basically taking care of bad guys like this. You're like, I don't have time for this, in other words. Ain't nobody got time for that. As you say this, and as you continue to steel yourself, you feel this resistance, kind of like a feeling like this whole time while you're meditating, you're trying to work hard for it. It felt like you're trying to almost slip your finger, crack your finger in the door, and then as soon as you get it, then you're trying to clamp on and start trying to pull. Well, now you're feeling that resistance. You're feeling that pull, and you feel it, but you're emboldened by the fact that you feel any resistance at all, because it's almost like you can feel panic almost through the resistance. It's like the way it's fighting you, it's like you have a chance, even though it's strong, even though it's like a huge amount of resistance. You feel yourself trying to break through it, and as you do so, you actually are able to fully you hear this sounds in your head. It sounds like and it's not like physically you pull it, but you do feel like suddenly there's less resistance, and you look around and you're just in a strange setting. It doesn't look familiar now. Now it's more of a, you do see a bookshelf up here. You see some of the stuff that you really don't recognize, but then you hear a little, wind type sound, and you look behind you, and there's a portal. Looks like what might be the portal that you just jumped through. This is probably the place that kind of took you. looks like you can still see through the portal. Looks like the place you came from is right back on the other side. What do you want to do?
So that was the portal. I can figure out that that's the portal I came through.
Yeah, you're deducting that. Yeah, you believe that you recognize looking through the portal. You recognize that room. That was the room that you had just been in before, and now some of the memories are starting to come back some more of how you had previously just been through this thing. And you're starting to realize that some of the other stuff you were seeing was an illusion.
Okay, so I'm back where we started initially, correct?
Well, you see
I'm back.
where you see the room that you had been in.
Okay.
You could jump through the portal and go back there, or you could try to explore more of the area you're in.
I think I'll explore the area I'm in.
Okay, so you look back and now you want to study the room you're in.
You said there's a bookshelf and stuff?
Yeah, there is a bookshelf. Bookshelf and a desk and some candles. It looks like there's no cobwebs or anything. One other thing you notice really quickly, because you kind of most of your memories came back basically as you pierce through the veil, and you you remember how that sense of dread feeling of just death and decay all the time, and you recognize it because in your travels to try to stop evilness, you feel that feeling before, so you're familiar with it, and plus you've been feeling it now the past few sessions. Now you don't feel it, so you're sensing this could be a different plane, a different something. But yeah, you're looking around and it is a room, so there is a doorway on the other side that looks more like a regular doorway, not like a portal doorway.
I think I'll search the bookcase first and see if there's anything of interest there.
Okay. The bookcase got a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of logs and journals.
Anything
Things.
about the Lord of Illusion or artifact or anything like that?
There are some texts in there for you could call them kind of like religious texts, or so to speak, or venerating that kind of thing. But a lot of it more seems more like kind of like accounting style, like ledgers and journals and things that are describing exchanges of things that are describing people that have been here and there. Some other ledgers that don't quite seem to make sense to you, but if you're looking through them.
I think I'll go check the door out.
The door? Okay. It is locked from the outside. So you go to it and...
Can I try to pick the lock?
No, because that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
It's... Yeah, the part where you could even pick it is from the other side.
I got you.
So, people don't expect there to be people coming in from this area.
Okay. I guess I'll go jump through the portal again.
Okay. All right. As soon as you're about to leave, however, you do notice one thing on the desk. Kind of catches your eye. In fact, roll a perception roll. To see whether that's a little bit of bastard DMing on my part, but I was thinking that you're going to go check it out, but yeah, I want to give this a chance.
19?
Yes, okay, so yeah, you do. You see this, something that kind of does catch your eye right before you as you're moving back towards the portal. And looks like kind of like a diagram. It's hard to describe because it's weird in how it looks to you. Mainly in that it looks like a lot of math and equations on there, but also it looks like there are three-dimensional representations that you're thinking that this might be stuff that could help out with the portals,
So there
possibly.
could be schematics or something.
Yeah.
I think I'll take those.
Nice. That wasn't, given by the DM or anything at all,
No.
right? Yeah. So you grab those and you jump through the portal. So you're back. So we'll come back to you in a second. So now we're gonna go back to Kektik. And your ability to just you're like in the Matrix.
Go into the light.
So yeah, right now it completely, like I said, it felt like it created itself, even though you did have that brief glimmer of right? So it is remember that feeling. that is a big part of why I've been able to defeat the Lord of Illusion before. Creation will always stave off the void. A single act was enough to create the universe for the first time. A single act of defiance, of saying, I'm not normal and I will not be quashed away. Just remember that, Cactic.
You talking to Sid or?
Yeah, that's a Sid talking to you. Yeah, of course. Who else you got?
said you defeated the Lord of Illusion.
Yes, I have many times before. You've noticed that time moves strangely here, right? That's mainly because time itself is somewhat of illusion. The way that most people experience time from point A to point B, it's not always how time goes. It's not always linear. Sometimes it is more like a... Huh?
You're getting into string theory now.
Yeah.
So, how or why does the same Lord that you've defeated over and over and over again continue to exist?
He draws his power from, I could say chaos, from disorder. And that's part of the problem with existence. Existence sometimes balances on a kind of like the coin balancing on the tip of your finger. It rests because of that balance. If it tips too heavily to one side, the whole thing comes crumbling down, right? In the same way that life must always exist, death and decay must always come with it. So I believe that's why. I think he's
So he'll be back, even if we do.
if you're trying to say that you think that that makes this time, I'm not trying to say that. I think he's doing things differently this time. I will say that. But if you're asking if in the future, if I might have to enlist help of others once again to defeat him, I will not shy away from that task if that task comes upon me once again. So, for now that we were able to pierce through the veil, I don't want to just return. I could try to return us there now. I feel like I could do an astral recall. However, our friends might be in trouble. We might need to help them pierce through the veil themselves. It might be more difficult for them because they weren't attached and anchored to me like you were. So, do you have a connection to any of them? Anything you can think of?
My song is stuck in your head. You just over it.
I thought there was something. Are you thinking of something? I thought there was something.
What do you mean? What did you think there was?
You know about the guy? Oh no.
Do we have a connection?
Definitely not.
I think you and Sid have a connection.
It doesn't have to be like a literal connection as in oh, y'all used to know each other. It could be that you relate to that person because of blank.
We can both hop right at the same time.
He goes on. The thing is that connection might help us right now.
We can try to find him since he's magic.
When we say him,
Yeah.
you pointed off somewhere. I'm not sure who you're referring to.
We can find that annoying wizard that we got.
I'm a
warlock. No, just kidding.
Oh, you mean the warlock that was in our party?
Is that what he is?
Yes, I believe so.
All of a sudden, you see a shadow wreathed hand conjure above you.
Comes out.
Yeah. If you feel a connection to him, we can try to use that. We can try to lend him some aid. So go ahead and let me see your hand once again. I'm gonna think about that connection to him, and I'm going to try my best. We're gonna try to deliver him a message. Okay? You don't have to actually do it. You have to pretend you're doing it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All
I
right.
was going to.
And we do a. Mm-hmm.
I'm sensing any magic. I'm detecting magic in this world.
You can tell that this world is a construct.
And I sense this really faint, probably the smallest amount of magic I've ever sensed.
The smallest.
I swear by the end of this campaign, I will one-shot him, and we will have to bring him back.
Just over there somewhere. That's him.
And what message do you want to send? What do you think would bolster him? You don't think y'all can get challenged, huh?
A message to bolster him and help him like wake up and snap out of it.
Basically, yeah. That's what. Yeah, Sid is like, yeah, we're trying to help them pierce through the veil of illusion.
Oh,
Prison Mike, yeah. Is this fun for you, Dylan? Seeing him. What are you reading?
Just all the things.
I'm trying to involve you in my thing. Have a moment here. Anyways. Alright, what message you send him?
I'm gonna say, Prison Mike, if you can hear me, jump 3 times and spit them. I don't know.
Alright, and suddenly the feeling cuts off. Sid is like, alright, well, I hope that was a good message. I hope that'll help him out.
Having these dumbass thoughts in my head. What is going on?
So now we come back to Roderick.
No! Okay, can I say something else?
It's too late. So we come back to Roderick.
At this point, I'm on like replay number
Like,
15.
what would I have said?
I hear it's so messed up. I'm like bloodshot eyes from like lack of sleep. I've got like
51st dates.
scribbles all over the walls in the room I keep waking up in. Like, all right. I remember reading about the tale of this guy. I just need to learn how to play the piano. I gotta learn the personal lives of everybody in the party, fix their personal issues, and then I just gotta find true love.
Like, you're turning it into Groundhog Day, basically. Nice. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Miramax. So we're gonna say that it's on your 50 seconds attempt, and that this time you kind of knew what to do. So we're gonna say that you came in, you immediately fetched a bottle from one place, actually took the Lord. You didn't even have any words with him. You put it on another table. You actually helped 2 other people fall in love. You gave a loaf of bread to this one kid. Who looks at you like, really excitedly, munches on a crazy thing and runs away. You help someone else, learn how to play an instrument. You play a little jaunty for someone. A lot of stuff that seems to happen in the same amount of time as the other attempts. But then you notice that, the same thing is happening. They're coming out, they're making the accusations. You're doing what you've been trying lately, the recent attempts, which is basically just offering yourself up immediately, saying you did it, but apologizing, prostrating yourself, saying that it was the evils of the alcohol and you would never touch the filth again. Yeah, so because that's been your strategy lately. You're trying to see if that might work. You know that there's something that's caught you in some kind of a loop. So you're trying to break through that loop. They're looking at you this time. It's like, not like, forgiveness, like Okay, well, he said he's sorry, but more just kind of like, what do we do with him? Kind of maybe almost like they're trying to figure out how do we execute this guy. As they're doing so, you see something though, out of like the corner of your eye, and it's that little kid who you gave the loaf of bread to, and he like winks at you.
Yeah, actually, it's different.
And you wink back at him, but then as you do so, you stop them. You actually say, if you don't mind, I have one last request. Before you end me, I simply want to play one last tune for you. Just, all I want is to know that these halls may be filled once more with my song, that you may, then do with me what you will. I apologize. Go ahead and do a performance check. And I'm going to say at advantage, because you're about to give the performance of your life. You get at you have one of them hands you some bagpipes. I'm gonna have to actually have you sing. Do you want to sing before or after your skill check?
Alas, my love, you do me wrong, to cast me off discourteously. That is a 34 performance check.
34.
Green sleeves was all my joy. Green sleeves was my delight.
The sounds of your music come through. It's like a beautiful dirge. Your bagpipes are going in. In fact, even though they're bagpipes, I don't know if y'all have ever noticed this, but bagpipes normally basically have one sound. It's pretty much like that's their thing. There's not too many different pitches. There's they can do different melodies, but they pretty much have the one sound. For whatever reason, it seems like you've almost been able to make it sound completely different. It's much more sadness. It's this haunting melody that is reverberating off the walls. In fact, as you feel it, the music flowing through you, that's always been the thing that you've been about. You love the trappings and the distractions of the court, and as the memory of this being the 53rd thing to wash over, and all the memories of all the other times that you were actually in these court sessions. You're thinking about all those times, but you're thinking about once again how, like you said, all the other stuff is just distractions. The thing you always really cared about was the music. You just wanted to spread your song so that others might hear it, right? And you're remembering that as you're playing. And the strange thing is, whenever you first started playing, there were discordant effects within the room at first that you would notice, and only you notice them because you have the ear for that kind of thing, for almost perfect pitch. So you would notice that there'd be little moments where you might hear a groan or a sigh, or the castle settling or something else like that. But it seems like those moments start to
Settling.
Yeah, castles settle. Yeah. Sometimes castles try to look, and they keep trying dating app after dating app. They strike out. So then they feel like they have to settle, It happens. So the feeling of the music now seems to be drowning out those discordant effects. In fact, now everything seems to be almost perfectly in harmony. That perfect harmony that you always sought for, that you always wanted to recreate. Something that basically it's your raison d'être, your reason for being is that perfect melody. As that perfect melody, like you get that through your instrument and your voice itself, you keep echoing it out. You didn't really even realize that this was happening, but the pieces of the facade of the illusion are just starting to fall away. And now you yourself, you didn't even realize it, but because you can cast spells through your music, right? You hadn't mentioned trying to cast spells up until this point. Maybe it's because you hadn't even thought to try to access some of those, right? But now you're realizing that they're like there now, and they didn't feel like they were there before. So you feel that. What do you do?
everything's falling away. Kind of.
Yeah, like the elements of that illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it like all deconstructing itself. In fact, the last thing you see of it is that little boy's face, who smiles and nodded at you like, "All right, you've been through this enough times."
So with all that falling away, what do I see?
This is kind of like a weird, strangely ethereal lit type room enclosure, but it's hard to even sense exactly what it is. It just seems like kind of like an otherworldly type area.
Well, I finished the song to its completion out of respect for it, and then once it's over, I'm looking around, just like, Sid, I could use a lifeline.
As you say so, yeah, I was gonna say, as you say so, then suddenly now a flood of recent memories is now coming to you, and you remember, like, wait a second, we had just jumped through a portal. So you start to follow and pick at that little thread, and you're like thinking, yeah, this is an illusion, but there's still one more thing you have to do to pierce through the veil, because you're still in kind of like a nondescript area now. Now there's not much of an illusion, but you're not even exactly sure where you're at. It doesn't seem to be like you're anywhere. You're like kind of like in a nothingness type area.
And I don't hear any response.
No, you don't really hear a response. No, from Sid. No.
I will wind up my hands just see if I wake up.
You slept, and the sensation doesn't really feel that real. Like, feels like.
So it didn't even hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't really hurt that much. Yeah. Even though you're trying to, and you feel like there's
Sorry, a couple
now.
times if it didn't even feel it. Like,
As you do so, like, essentially now you are trying to wake yourself up. You feel like you're just kind of like I was mentioned before, kind of like getting your foot in the door. You feel it, and now you feel a resistance. However, you feel like this resistance is strong. You feel like you need to do something to help yourself through it. You might need to channel some of that.
resistance of like something still trying to hold me.
Yeah, in the illusion. Yeah. So you're feeling like you're getting close to piercing through the veil, but you're all you can think of is the little melody.
And at this point, my memory is back, so I would be fully aware that this would be what Mara's doing.
Yeah. You know there's illusion, and you're thinking that basically you need to try to do something to try to like kind of draw on some of your, like more arcane type abilities to try to like, basically further help you try to break through the veil.
I just kind of look up and around. I don't see anything, but I know Ma's listening, so tell him I'm done playing your games. And I cast a mind blank on myself. It's an 8th level spell.
Ooh.
For 24 hours, I am immune to any psychic damage or any effect that would affect my senses, emotions, anything that could read my thoughts, charms. And it says the spell even foils wish spells or spells of effects with similar power.
Dang,
Used
high
to affect
level.
the target's mind or gain information about the target.
Nice. All right. So yeah, you now you did still feel some like resistance, but as you were going to cast it, you feel that melody come into your head once again. The strange thing is, it seems like an almost simplistic melody. Normally you like melodies that have layers and this and that. This one almost seems too simple, but the simpleness of it also seems beautiful to you. And it embolsters you, and yeah, your spell happens, and then now you're in more of a room, kind of like I described for him, basically. It's like you can, you see, for yours, basically, it looks like there's more of like a hallway leading out. So there's not a room, but like it leads out into like a little hallway, and here's some voices on the other side don't really see much else. There are some candles in here, but you look back and you see the room in which you were in before, and you actually see. Didn't you give? Yeah, you got her back. You actually already see him through there. So what'd you do?
So portal with him on the other side, hallway.
Yeah, and there
Anything
seems
in the
some
hallway,
voices.
just-
You're thinking you probably don't want to be here by yourself. You're like, oh, maybe I should try to go back with the others.
I didn't see anything down the hallway.
No, it just you can see down the hallway. That's it, and then some darkness at the end of it.
Yeah, I jumped back from the portal.
Sounds good. All right, back through there. All right, Skylark Prism Mike. Who's next? Who's batter up? What do you think? Who's more ready for it?
I am.
All
Give
right,
it to me.
Prism Mike. Okay. So,
I would have told you.
weren't you weren't you in the tin pan? You're just like
Pie.
in the pie tin
waiting
pan.
it out.
Just waiting it out.
Like a tub.
So you're sitting there, and you're just kind of like arms crossed, like whatever. I'm gonna wait till the next dream or the next illusion. No, hadn't I shifted your dream? Didn't I shift your dream? I thought I did. Or your illusion? No, did I not?
Yeah, something about
Yes,
flying
he was a
books
minion.
in my liberal.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
flying
yeah, yeah,
books.
yeah.
Yeah. So you see some flying books, and now the latest illusion that you found yourself in is just that it seems like your spell books and everything always seems to be just out of your grasp. You keep trying to scramble and get them. And even though you know this is kind of absurd, and it's part of you senses that this might be a dream, you're just, you're going along with it basically. You're waiting it out. So you're just kind of trying to swim after your items and gather them. However, as you're doing so, you suddenly hear a noise.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
What's her recorded? What did she say?
Is it like jump and spin or
Oh,
something?
Yeah, okay, you hear a voice, and it says, if you can hear me, jump 3 times, and then spin. And then,
Does that mean anything
yeah,
It's until then. I'm trying to.
Okay.
Trying to show you.
and that's what she. But,
Instantly, I know that had to be that moron of a paladin.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Can't even form a coherent thought, so I go ahead and do the action. Nobody else would have made that horrible of a choice in trying to contact me. So I go ahead and proceed with those jumps and spin.
The jumps and the spin, and again, it's mainly you instantly roll your eyes because you're like, this guy. And even though the flood of memories is now starting to come back somewhat, not necessarily your extremely recent ones, but you do remember him and y'all's back and forth.
Not exactly glad he remembers it.
But he is like, oh yeah.
cracking up because like he did it.
So you do hear this, and then you do like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. You jump 3 times. You spin around. But strangely, as soon as you spin around, you do feel like, whoa, something's different. And in fact, before, it seems like it was like I said, whenever you tried to access your abilities and your mana and that kind of thing, it seems like there's this wide chasm, there's no way you can do it. Now it's like, oh, it's right there. There does seem to be something resisting as you try to do it, but it does seem to be right there now. And in fact, so what do you want to do? Do you want to try to cast something?
I
Or
do. Yes.
What are we going to
The
cast?
second I feel that, I want to attempt to cast planar shift, which basically I can shift to a different plane,
Gotcha.
essentially. So I will try to cast that to whatever plane he is at.
All right.
This is my most recent form of contact.
Sounds good. Okay. So it does take you a second because you do have to kind of see yourself and get through the resistance, but you are able to pierce the veil using your your fury, basically your ire at him, thinking about how you're gonna, whenever you see him
The
next,
second I come
clock him up the
through,
head.
I just want to just 5-star him across the face.
So, but yeah, you are able to pierce through the veil, and then Right before you plane shift, by the way, the rest of the illusion does completely fall apart, and you do see that you were in this other room where there's like that portal in. But before you have a chance to really process that much, then and there you go, and you're staring right at
Just
Kekshan.
land, just
There's my little. There's my little bunny hopper.
Are you gonna let him smack you?
Absolutely.
All right, roll for attack.
please.
Oh, an attack? You roll at disadvantage because you're attacking me.
False.
Just FYI. I'm under the protection of good and evil, so. Disadvantage.
This is gonna be with a one arm or unarmed strike.
Disadvantage.
Do I
It's
put
a
anything
D4, but no, you'll add just your strength.
to this?
Yeah. He did roll high.
You might have
For
a,
the,
He might.
For the attack or the.
since you're an elf, you might have to have bonuses for damage.
It's at disadvantage.
Why would it be a disadvantage?
Because I'm always under protection of good and evil.
What are you talking about?
Which, if anyone attacks me, it's at disadvantage.
Is
I know it's plus 8 to hit.
this is a construct, so he's not good or evil right now.
So do I have any plus?
Just plus your
You
strength,
should get a
whatever you're.
plus as far as the hit, and then it should be
Oh, my damage is
plus 3 bludgeoning.
It's just gonna be a D4 for the damage.
okay.
But
Well,
what is
altogether,
your? What's
altogether, it's a 22.
the 22? Does that hit?
To hit?
It's right. All D4.
He loses a tooth.
So he comes forward and he does it, and at first you're like, Psh, I ain't worried about this, and you go like as if you're gonna try to fight it off, but then you're like, I'll let him have this, let him think he is. So he comes forward and he, like it's like an anime show, like epic, and then it just like 1 point of bludgeoning damage,
Nice.
and you're like, all right.
Good.
So, Sid is like, all right. I think
If
for
you
now,
value your life, you'll never touch me again.
Figure of death. Then dropped him to 99.
for now, I think we should try to go and see who's been able to pierce the veil or not, because I'm able to feel them somewhat.
Can I hug you?
That's
Yeah.
a no.
And
That's a no.
squeeze real
I
hard?
will immediately do Misty Step because I can do that at any point in time. Immediately 30 feet up in the air, and I gotta go.
But no, he's.
Oh,
Well, really quick, one last moment with you. So we're getting. And I'll speed this up then. So for you, part. So Sid says, all right, why don't we go back? Let's try to get back, and then we can try to reassess, see who's back and who's not, and then we can go from there. Okay. So he's like, all right, you basically took over this illusion. Do you want to just kind of snap us out so that way we can see where we are for real? All right, go ahead and do so.
Do a what?
Just snap us out of it. And then the whole thing comes apart, and then y'all are in another room. This one looks. It's got some different stuff about it. It looks like a little more machinery. Kind of almost looks like some kind of little weird mechanisms type stuff. It looks like there's some kind of different stuff here. Like, you're not exactly sure what the machinery is even for, basically. But before y'all can really do much, Sid's like, come on, let's go back. I see them in the room. So then he pulls you two through the doorway. So y'all go through the portal with him, and y'all are back there with them. No. And you both kind of came in there, because of how time acts, this is almost all like at the same time that y'all are coming back in the same room. But they're like, wait a second, who's missing? I think we're missing our barbarian. And don't we have another ranger that's missing? Yeah.
Druid.
And the druid, yeah, that's right. Alright, give me a second. I'm gonna go into a trance, see if I can try to locate them. Alright, bad news. I only found a connection to one of them. It was the barbarian Skyla. She's still in his illusion. Did anyone else have a connection to her? Someone that can help me send a message to her, see if we can help her pierce through? Hint, hint, hint. Prison Mike, huh? Give a message to her before you leave.
Hey, it's an illusion. We're all waiting for you. All you have to do is grab my staff that is...
Oh, wait.
All you have to do is grab my staff that is on the right there, and you'll immediately be transported back to us. By the way, that's why we have a connection.
Okay.
How much damage we do?
So Sid's like, okay, if that's the message, that'll work. And sure enough, yeah. So now we'll go back to you, Scala, and yeah, through what was your most recent illusion? It was your friend. Yeah, you were filled with grief. Yeah, you've been just endlessly sobbing. You've just been falling into like this, what was that word I'm looking for? This spiraling, like self-spiraling, like sense of just doom and destruction, right? Think about your friends, and you've just been sobbing. You didn't even realize, but if someone had been tracking time on a regular basis, it's like you've been sobbing for like weeks on end. But then suddenly, you feel something. Now you hear something. It's all an illusion. All you have to do to snap out is just grab my... Hey, wait, hold on. No, don't worry. I'm telling her. Just grab on to a... I said no! Inappropriate. Dude, I'm saying to grab on my staff. That's at the right. It's just a visual aid. She'll get it. Don't worry. And then as you're doing it, you're kind of confused. Like, what was that voice? But then suddenly you do see like a little wizard staff right next to you.
Where
Just a
is
little...
More like a wand.
Thinking about the idea, it actually suddenly makes you smile because you suddenly think of the two recent friends. Yeah, the two recent friends you made. So you suddenly smile even though you had been overcome with despair up to that point. Suddenly now that's like this slight glimmer of kind of happiness and fun and laughter. So you smile as you reach out for it. It's like, reach out. You grab it. And then you grab it, and as soon as you do, you feel all the fragments of the facade fall away, and you're now in another little room. This is a really dark looking room. In fact, you hear like a snarling sound. You instantly are like, you have no rage or anything. You're like, what the heck? And you hear a little wind sound, and then Zyla, come through. And then before, like you've heard that, but before you really, all of a sudden you're like, this huge creature, but you don't even see what it is. You're just like, all right, you can go back with them. You jump through the portal. Everyone is back up in the room. Sid's like, all right. I hope everyone had some fun. I've been through this before, so I know that most likely some of y'all have been tormented with some of the things you've been through. Pay it no heed. It's just a distraction. That's most of what he tries to do, is distract us. I say we get him back.
I mean, I learned piano, so I got something out of it.
There you go. Nice.
Can you cast your little house thing?
Tiny hut.
Yeah.
It's a really good
Can you do the tiny hut thing and we can all regenerate?
Sure. Yeah, we'll take that that's a good stopping point for tonight. So that'll be while y'all rest up, and then you can see.
like a month.
Well, time definitely moved weird there. So yeah, some of y'all. Yeah, you were probably in there for long. Did you ever know? By the way, the Groundhog Day. I think it was like on the. It was either in like the director's commentary or something. It was revealed that he actually spent
Oh, he was there
something
for
like
a
1,000
crazy long
years.
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Something.
I don't know. Was it?
No,
that
yeah,
long?
it was like here. Let me look it up.
I knew it had to have been like years.
It's saying bizarrely long.
The sketch. Like,
It's saying it takes some of the fun out of it. Basically, it's like, okay, if it was that long, It's just he would have been crazy.
I knew it was a
We have to
really
do
long time. But he did.
No problem. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun tonight. I wish, but yeah. Say what?
We have to go home.
How long was he stuck? Okay, yeah. The director Ramis once said Phil is trapped in Groundhog Day for 10 years, even though the original plan was to have him trapped for 10,000 years.
See, 10 years, that sounds about right. 10,000 years, yeah, he'd be insane.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed it and had fun. Like I said, that was a fun one for me. I enjoyed it. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week.